Hello and welcome back to Unpopular People.
We believe that listening and learning from each other is key for personal development and success.
Today in our interview, Pieter Borgh from New Zealand.
Pieter is originally from South Africa and he grew up in New Zealand, and he is a DJ and a gardener.
When Pieter was a child, he struggled to find his own identity. Why? You will find out in this interview.
Nowadays he organizes parties and he creates his own music.
And he has an own company, a garden company. About this he tells a little bit in this interview too.
If you want to find out more about Unpopular People, please visit our website www.unpopularpeople.com.
Have a look on our website to find out more about our services and the services of our previous guests. It would be great if you share this podcast with all of your friends and family. This would help us a lot. www.unpopularpeople.com. And now, have fun with this interview.
All right, Pieter, thank you very much for taking this time to have an interview with us. We're really curious about your story, and we know you a little bit now, but we also want our guests to find out who you are, what are you doing, and we will ask you a couple of questions, and we hope you feel fine with it. If you feel uncomfortable with any of those questions, just let us know, and you don't have to answer, of course. It doesn't have to be too private, but we're always happy if someone shares private stories as well. So let me just start with the first question, and it's always the same for all our interview guests, just to find out a little bit more about you and your background. So where were you born and how did you grow up?
Okay, well, nice to see you guys too. And I was born in Cape Town, South Africa, and brought up there until I was 10. And there's not too much in regards to me feeling like I can't disclose any personal information. I'm absolutely comfortable with that. Brought up in South Africa until I was 10, moved to London with the family with 6 kids, and we moved to London when I was 10 for about a year. We immigrated there, and then we moved back to South Africa because my parents divorced, and stayed there another 5 years, and then that came up to 1994, which is when apartheid finished, and we decided to get out because obviously it's not going to be a very good country to be brought up in with so much turmoil, and came to New Zealand. So from the age of 14 until pretty much now, with 3 years in London, when I was 21, 22, 23, I've been in Auckland, New Zealand.
Cool. Thank you for this. And you told us that the apartheid finished. So how was it in this time? Can you tell a little bit more about this, and how, I don't know, do you have many memories from your childhood, how it was in this situation especially?
Oh, sure. Well, it was kind of a two-staged kind of lifestyle in South Africa, because the first half, until I was 10 years old, we were brought up in a very nice big house with lots of maids and, a very regular maid and extras on time, and gardeners, and we were well off. That's when my parents were together. My dad was an eye doctor, so he was doing very well, and Mum had 6 children, so there was, we had plenty of money and everything. Life was peachy, life was good. Thing is, you did see the other side of what was happening, but we were quite isolated in our area. And so my memories of those times were lovely. They were actually really nice. It was a really beautiful time of my life, probably my favorite, apart from when it started getting close to the end, and my father's abuse patterns started coming out a lot more, which messed things up, which is one of the main reasons we moved to London, is because he was getting really abusive. My mum ended up having an affair. So shit hit the fan. And then we all went to London, stayed there a year. And as I said, mum skipped country, ran away after 1 year of London, because the abuse didn't change. she needed to get away. And then went back to South Africa. So then there was another stage of South Africa from 11 until 14, which was a lot more tumultuous for me. I was a unit. I was, out of control. Wasn't focused at school because family life was a bit messed up. But again, the segregation between whites and blacks was very clear as well. So we were kind of in an area called Rondebosch, just outside Cape Town, on the other side of the mountain. We were surrounded with other coloured areas, because more so than the first half, because we were poorer and we didn't have as much money. So we were more on the fringe of the white suburbs. Still had a nice house, but so you didn't really see a hell of a lot, especially at that age. I mean, I started venturing out when I was about 12, 13, 14, and going to parties and little nice clubs and stuff, and drinking, but you'd only just see a little bit of stuff here and there. So I think we were quite sheltered, which was good, but we knew what was happening. Yeah, if that makes sense. You knew what was going on. You didn't have to integrate with it. You didn't have to get involved in it.
And you said abusive pattern of your dad came up with the end of the apartheid thing. Did you see a connection there, or what? Can you explain this a little bit?
That was halfway through. There was no connection between that, and he was just an abusive man. So he was he was violent, and he was emotionally and mentally and physically abusive. And he had 6 kids, and he didn't know how to bring up children, and he was abused from his father. So, and he used to hit my mom and all sorts of things. Like he couldn't not be in control, and so he would resort to abusive methods of trying to control, especially 5 boys, like 5 boys and 1 girl. She was the youngest, so yeah, it was difficult for him.
And how was the relationship with your siblings? Do you have memories from the childhood? What did you play or do together when you were children?
Yeah, we used to play quite a lot, actually. We were all, and it was really exciting because there was always different age types of personalities to play with. So you never really, if you didn't get on with one, there was always another one you could get on with. And I'm number 3 in the middle, so I was pretty good at just being able to find a relationship with all the different personalities and find out how to fit in, and where I work and where I don't, who I enjoy hanging out with, who I don't. But we used to play a lot of games, and my oldest brother, the older 2, they were a little bit more reckless. Well, no, they retreated in themselves a lot more than the younger ones. So there was we were split into 3 groups: the older 2, middle 2, and then the younger 2. And the older 2 kind of disappeared a lot more so from when I was about 10. So we didn't really play with them. But yeah, I had lots of fun, and then became a teenager and didn't want to bother anymore. Went our separate ways.
And you already said your dad was an eye doctor. And what did your mom do? I mean, besides bringing up or raising up 6 kids, and what was her profession? And is she still doing it now? And do you, tell us maybe what your siblings do as well now?
Sure. My mom, she was a full-time mom. That was it until we moved to New Zealand with one of her partners. No, sorry. She started studying that before in South Africa, studying psychotherapy, and then moved to New Zealand. I think continued her studies, and she's a full-time psychotherapist, specializing in trauma and post-traumatic stress, PTSD, and she's doing that now. My oldest brother's a full-time art teacher. Carl, the second, is a pilot. I make music and have a landscape garden business. The one below me is a substitute teacher. The one below him, that's Jan. The one below him, Alexander, is a motion graphic artist living in Sydney. And then the youngest is Maya, and she's a teacher, and she's a young, what is it? Like woodcraft and like, what do you call that? Like metalwork and woodwork at school, at like high school. Yeah.
Wow, yeah, there are very like many cool jobs coming out of this, and I heard like art and teacher, and this
Gardening.
this was very often. So yeah, but what about you? You told us you are a musician, and yeah, how did you come to this point where you are now? How did it go further after you moved to New Zealand?
How did it begin? How did it start? Well, when I moved here, the one thing that I knew about myself, because I have lived quite a traumatic, separated, culturally separated kind of life, where I'm not sure where I'm meant to belong. That's what ends up happening if you immigrate too many times. You lose touch with what your culture is, especially if you don't really enjoy or appreciate or respect the culture that you have come from. So with that separation, I needed to attach an identity to something. And for me, that the main thing was what I enjoy in life, and because life got a little bit, but shit, I needed to make sure that I was happy. And the thing that made me the happiest was listening to music and dancing, and dancing around my room, making little raves at home. So from quite a young age, as soon as Prodigy and Chemical Brothers and The Shaman, and since electronic music started, I was brought up with it. And then when I got to New Zealand, went out looking for clubs, and no one really knew about techno, so I went out looking for raves. And what I found is that people in New Zealand didn't really understand what that was. It was happy hardcore, and there was very small scenes. So started going out looking for it, and then found that I was, always leading all my mates out to go to these clubs, and I started collecting the music, finding it, and then ended up becoming DJ. And at the same time, started producing as well when I was about 19, 20, roundabout. And found out I could do it on a computer, so started doing it. And it's just been a long journey since then. So I'm putting parties on called Geared at the moment, and that's been really fun. And playing the type of techno, the harder, darker kind of stuff that I like. And producing as often as I can. With my job, I'm finally able to make a little bit of money. So I've been slowly buying some equipment, some good synthesizers, and to help me get creative and give me a different outlook on how I want to produce music, which is not happening as much as I want because of my job. It does actually makes me quite tired. So I'm actually really enjoying this break, this corona lockdown break, because I get a break from work and I get a break with my body, and I can just do what I want. So this has been absolutely fantastic. Getting productive is great.
So tell us a little bit more about your work that you, usually do in normal times. So how did it get to there, and why do you do it? Yeah,
the gardening, because I didn't really work so well with normal society, with in quoted fingers, but I struggled dealing with people and fitting in and authority, and I struggled with the life in general, and the purpose of life and the meaning of life, and finding myself in shops, and I'd get very bored, I'd get very agitated. I knew there was more to life. I needed to be outdoors, so I started being a builder, but then on building sites here. And I started taking, drugs quite early, like LSD, since I was like 15, and that opened my mind up quite a lot. And already life had opened my mind up. So working around builders they weren't open-minded enough. A lot of people weren't open-minded enough. They weren't, I'd just be like a crazy little hippie, and they'd give me shit, and I just wouldn't feel like I fit in anywhere. So I started gardening because you can just chill on your own. It's quite peaceful. And then ended up, did that in London for about 3 years. When I moved there when I was 21, 22, 23, and got a job assisting, so driving the van around. So it was an amazing way to check out London. And then got back to New Zealand and just started doing that again. And then went on my own and been doing it for about 8 years with my first business, and then sold that and studied graphic design to try and do something different. And then found that I didn't really want to find myself sitting in an office. I think I'd get bored. It's quite a competitive industry. Tried to find a job, didn't. So graphic designed a new company, gardening, and 5 years later, still doing it. So I'm again at the same crossroads about whether I want to keep doing it, which I really am struggling with again. And the future's a little unsure at the moment. I think the whole state of the world's a little bit unsure. So I'm not too sure where I'm going from here, but it's still a way to enable me to own my life, to do something meaningful, and which is, help people's personal environments be beautiful. And it's great. It's fun working outside. So I'll keep doing it for now, as long as it doesn't interrupt my creativity, which is, something that I really want to make a priority that I still struggle with.
So when you're struggling with these things, or when you seem that you sometimes have like this confused thoughts in your head. So, what should I do? Is it right? Is it wrong? So is there a tool or something you find out for your own that you use to calm down your mind and that your minds become clear? Is there something?
Just knowing... What do I do? I mean,
remember when you had a hard time once before? What did you do to get back into the state you want to be? Like to find the balance? Do you?
Is by stepping up, by changing my mindset, which I'm very able to do in regards to the effort I put into things. So if the gardening's getting overwhelming and I'm feeling like it's bogging me down, then I've got to step up. No one's going to help me, so I work extra hard. And I go to kickboxing 3 times a week, and when I'm really on form, then I'm doing it a lot because my body's sore. So it's like, okay, fine, I need to get strong. So I go kickboxing, get really strong. If I'm getting bogged down by my work, then I'll just shut work down. By my admin. Then I'll shut work down and I won't do any work, and I'll only spend like a week just doing admin, and I'll just smash it all out in one go and get it over with. It's a constant battle because it's having your own business is actually really tiring, and it's really time consuming. Like I'm working all the time. It's always on my mind. I'm always having to text clients, and I've got to do invoicing. I've got to think about my tax, and I've got to think about people working for me, and the next job, and then also taking time out for myself, and then feeling frustrated because I'm not making the music that I want. So it's just like, it's a bit of a battle. Everyone says, it's the perfect job. That's ideal. You got your creativity sorted, and you've got your work inside outdoor kind of balance. So it's healthy, but it's not actually that balanced. I don't get enough music time, and I don't really, especially when you as well have a partner, because you spend a lot of time then with your partner as well, and so it takes you away from that flow that you kind of need. Like even now that I'm finding I'm inside all the time, it's taken me about 2 weeks to actually get to the point where I'm ready to make music and focus. And now that I'm here, I'm doing it all day long, constantly focusing on it, trying to get something. I'll spend a whole day on a track and go, actually flag that. So and start another one, which I did today. So it actually takes a lot of work and a lot of focusing you got to get that flow and that juice flowing. I know you understand, Ben.
I feel exactly the same way right now. It's just like this now. I finally have the time to sit down and start a track and just play around on it like for maybe 3 hours without feeling the pressure of like, oh, I have to go to bed, or I have to do this and I have to do that. So it's actually it's really good. But like, where do you get your creativity? Yeah, okay, it comes from time, but your inspiration, where do you get it from?
New music, and for music production specifically is finding new music. So when I guess the outlet, and I guess answering the question you asked before about what do I do to help with the struggle that I'm kind of in, and I think it's DJing and putting parties on. And doing that, because that keeps me engaged in the thing that I loved, which is the music and dancing and going to parties. So I started my brand, and that's cranking and enabling me to not necessarily fit in, but do what I want to do and choose the music I want to choose. And no matter how dark it is, I have full creative outlet, which is great. And there's always been this particular style that I like, which is dark and broody and grunty and quite heavy. It doesn't suit a lot of people. And I was quite nervous about doing that and slowly bringing it in. But then you build it and they'll come. The people that want to be there will be there. And they are. There's so many of them. So I'm able to then search for music, stay creative, look for inspiration as far as what I'm feeling and what I want to help me release in the way that I need to. So the music that I choose is my inspiration, and for my emotional outlet, for my social outlet, for my and then it's also inspiration for my production, because then when I do end up making music, finally, I have a party that I can play that music in. So before I've been making music for years and done live sets and haven't released that. I've only released 2-3 tracks and don't finish a hell of a lot, or the ones I do finish, I was often just making for the live set. So I've done a lot of live sets over the years. Haven't really played them out as much, because especially up in Auckland, I find there's not as many producers. So down south in the South Island, as you know, Ben, like there's a lot more producers and a lot more kind of open to stuff that's not necessarily the best thing out. It's about people being creative and just doing their thing. And up here,
it's way more experimental. I sometimes think it's really you can't really tell. Oh, is this like a good sound or bad sound? Because there's nothing to judge. It's just like it's an idea that gives you inspiration and creativity. It's great. I totally agree.
Yeah. And I do find that with the club scene up here and the music styles, it's a lot of people are all playing the same kind of stuff. And I found, and because I got away from the psytrance scene, which was my first initial inspiration and initial kind of place where I found was my community, my identity, my home, was when I was about 18, 19, 20, I found psytrance, and I just lost myself in psytrance and lost myself in that world, and that was my world. And I didn't really like the club world. I didn't really like the house and techno back then. And then the techno stuff, but then I got a little bit over the psytrance, and because it was a little bit monotonous, the word was a little bit alienating. It was a little bit kind of just too many munters, and I just got a little bit frustrated with it. And then, everyone from the South Island, and then that showed me that there was like more people out there, different types of people, all doing the same thing, which was cool. And that was like, that kind of opened my mind in regards to the fact that I didn't necessarily have to only be in one particular scene or world. And so I got out. So then I'd get flown down to Christchurch, and that was rad, had heaps of fun. And then when I got back to Auckland, I was like, well, I'm just kind of bored of the psytrance scene. I'm not making any new friends. I want to see what else is going on. And the minimal techno had started, and then the techno stuff had really kind of merged a little bit more with the psytrance, with the psytrance kick, and things just started being a lot more experimental with the techno, and that was really exciting for me because I kind of got bored for about 3 years, and then started going out to the clubs and the clubs basically in Auckland, and it was all a little bit house music and quite chill and deep techno and deep house, and then I kept getting told I play too hard. So the music I was choosing was like, banging techno, but not psytrance. So I was in no man's land in Auckland because no one knew about it. But over in Germany and everywhere else, they're digging it, So I fitted in, and I played more relaxing music because they were like, it's too hard, bro. You can't play anywhere. You just doesn't, it's not going to work. So I reeled it back and was like, okay, cool. Maybe I am being too hard, too much like thinking I know what I want all the time. Maybe I need to open my mind up. And so I did, and that was awesome because then I started really opening my mind about slowing down and playing chill stuff and the deeper stuff. And that was good for my soul as well. It relaxed me a lot, which was good. It wasn't really what I was about. But it was nice to chill and relax and go, okay, cool. If this is what people need, then this is what I'm going to do. And then playing the DJ game and trying to get sets was a little bit kind of gross. But so then I decided to make my own party because it's like, well, I don't want to play this game, and I don't want to play games, and I want to just do what I want to do. And I can always play chill. I know I can do that, so that feels good. But it's really good to now be inspired by the stuff that really gets me.
It's like in a relationship when you pretend to be someone else, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I'm inspired, especially now. I'm finding this really squelchy, deep techno stuff, and yeah, I'm excited. And I want to stay excited about music. Yeah.
What would you recommend other people who have the same or similar difficulties, who want to produce music but they don't know how to impress or how to find the right thing that they fit in, or that they combine their own style with what the people want? Sure.
I would say that we're not trying to invent the wheel. It's quite hard, I'm finding, to try and find something really, really unique and different and totally out there, because it's all been kind of done. Everything is always unique. You can't make the same thing again. No matter how hard you try, you can't do it. It's impossible.
But on the other side, I also think it's everything is not unique, but everything existed before. So sometimes, as you said, like, don't reinvent the wheel, but maybe just like take things and do it like your own way. Maybe. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, you can only do it your own way. What I was finding that I was making music that wasn't as consumable. Like, it couldn't be released anywhere because it wasn't fitting into a particular genre or style. And I think a reason those genres and those styles exist is because people have refined a particular type of sound that they want. And in all those genres, it's interesting you asked this now, because I'm coming to a really interesting realization about how I'm producing music as well, is by actually imitating what you hear. It's not copying, it's imitating, because there's a reason they have a particular kick. There's a reason they have these particular hats, and why they mix the hats and the elements together in a particular way. So don't feel like you can just do it which is what I've done for years. I just make music and I don't reference any tracks. I don't really go in and like listen to a particular sound and go, even though I'm really inspired by a particular type of music, I'm not making the music I really want. And I think that's because I'm spending far too long on my own and just doing it rather than really thinking about what I'm doing. If that makes sense. So think about what you're doing. If you're going to make music, think about what you're doing. Think about what you want. and take tracks apart and really analyze things and think why they have a particular style. There's a reason for a particular kick. There's a reason for particular synths and pads and the way that they construct everything, put everything together. So I'm on this very long journey about like how to do that, and it's not easy. I'm not finding it easy, and I think that's what it is. It's rewarding when you work hard.
And what is your goal with your music? So when you say think about what you want to produce or what style, so can you describe your style and your goal a little bit more?
Yeah.
Is it like when you write a book, you write the last page first and then write the rest of the book? Are you doing the same with your music? Do you know your goal before you start?
My goal has always been to feel accomplished. So it's not necessarily it's getting less and less and less becoming a superstar DJ, which it was at the beginning for DJing anyway. And then music production was just fascinating to me. It was like a game. So I want to beat the levels, and I want to beat the boss. I want to feel like I know what I'm doing, and I know how to get the sound that I want when I want it, which requires a lot of time and a lot of energy and a lot of focus. And all these big artists work really, really hard. They work so hard all the time at trying to find a particular sound. It's not like they just become famous and, So my ultimate goal is just to feel accomplished to some degree. If that means, I think that might mean releases on a label where my name gets out there, people have heard of me, I can put my little mark on history as feeling like I was a part of this thing. That to me is the most fascinating part of human culture, which is it's beyond normal society. It's taking psychology, sociology, community, technology, and spirituality all together into one package. And that to me is the absolute pinnacle of human existence.
This is a very beautiful description. Thank you.
Very nice. And also for other people that want to get into making music, like I give lessons, for example, but is there something else what people can do to get started? Do you have any advice about technology when you're speaking about technology, one of your key points? Is there something you would recommend for someone, or is there something in the past you got for yourself, like some, I don't know, it could be an analog synthesizer or something like that you got for yourself that helped you a lot?
Well, Ableton I've been using all the software from the beginning, but I would suggest Ableton because it's the easiest to use, even if it's just a light version or a crack, because you're not making money off it, and you buy it when you really want it, which everybody does eventually, and you get hooked onto the program. So using Ableton, and now that I've got some hardware, I would have liked to have had hardware a lot longer ago, because it takes the music out of the box. So analog synthesizers, getting an analog sound is a big sound. It's a deeper, richer, fuller sound that software can try and imitate, but it doesn't get there. And that's what I found with a lot of so I've made so much music that all doesn't really have that rich fullness, that organicness that you get from a synthesizer, from an analog sound. A lot of artists, I know they use them, and I know they make awesome music, but I'm finding personally that I'm finding really more inspired with some analog gear, but Ableton, and you can learn all that on YouTube. You can learn, I went to school at SAE and studied electronic music production, but you can just learn on YouTube and find people doing free courses, and you just do it and just get the program and start playing it. It's just a game. It's just a game it's like playing games.
Or you can get there quicker by doing like a one-on-one session. I mean, it helped me a lot. Like when I sat together with people and they just showed me like some simple hacks. Like sometimes I watched so many videos and I've done all those studies and I did all the courses and things. But I sometimes like someone just sitting next to me with like more experience than myself. They're like, oh, just do this and just click there. And I'm like, whoa, that's so much easier. So that helped me a lot. Yeah.
I learned that way as well. I mean, that's why I went to school to study. So we learned Logic, but the same thing, electronic music production, and Logic was different because I started on tracker-based programs, so it's like trackers, which is like Buzz Tracker, and it's just zeros and ones, and using like having like a physical thing that you have to link with another thing, and then using Logic was a different world. Sequences were different, and definitely learn better when you have someone showing you what to do. I'm going to actually do, now that we're doing this, now that we're on lockdown, I was thinking, because I hold courses every once in a while. I started one at this last house that I had. I had a really cool studio, so I ran a course for people and just had about 7 people in the room and just showed them how to use it just for free, just because I want people to learn. And it's quite daunting to learn on your own or with YouTube. So I'm going to do I just bought a nice camera before, and I'm just waiting for a capture card, and I'm going to do a stream, like an online stream, and just do it like all day long, basically, is have like a live stream of me and my screen and just making music, and people can follow, and I'll just answer the questions, and then they can just see what I do and what actually happens when you're making stuff. So that's what.
Are you offering this kind of course now too? In this time?
Yeah, I'm just going to do it for fun, just for free, just for people to learn.
Cool, yeah.
Because I mean, I'm not an expert, but I know how to use it, and I know that people like to get started on things. I love watching people start. I just really want to see people get involved in this.
Cool. So I've got another question. When you finished a track and you want to make it public, or that the people know more about it, so where do you publish it and how? So are you playing it the first time on a party and the people listen to it and find it great, or do you publish it on a special website or just on YouTube and Spotify? So what's the way?
Honestly, I don't have any music out there. I really don't have that much music out there, especially in the last 3-4 years. It's only just beginning. I got one track out on a label called Beaten Path, but apart from that, my sets that I play, because I'm inspired by the music that I find and DJ, and I'm building my brand for my party, I play the absolute best. So my music won't fit into my sets. I have put one track in once and it just worked and it was okay. There was a little bit of a lull on the dance floor, a little bit, and I noticed it, but it wasn't too bad. It sounded okay, but I don't really often play my stuff out, and people don't really hear it very much, and I don't often finish tracks. It takes quite a lot of time for me to really get to that stage. I will have 2 hopefully finished in the next week. That's my plan. But still working on other things, because I'm getting inspired and I'm trying to find my signature, if that makes sense as well. I'm trying to find what it is I'm really wanting to make, and just be careful about how I just end up producing. I just got to learn from these other tracks, what they're doing and how to figure that out. So I'm still learning. I feel like a baby. I'm not really I'm not as accomplished as I'd like to be. So,
but I think that's for the rest of our lives. Like with this music stuff, we will always like feel like babies every time do something. Like I find out something new. So it's like I'm totally with you here. So,
we wouldn't do it if we, it wouldn't be exciting and fun and challenging if it was too easy.
Do you have any person in your head that was like an inspiration for you, musical wise, or just like for life advice or whatever? Anyone that comes up in your head that's was a very like big inspiration for you?
There's too many. I guess Personally, Hayden and Barton from Antics, Fjord, Out of Sorts. They got a bunch of different names, and they have the Beaten Path label. So if you did want to hear something I have done, look on Beaten Path, Beat and Path, and it's called Any Minute, and I quite like that one. So I had a whole lot of music at that time, but it's also very difficult to find labels. We're stuck in the arse end of the world, and you don't really get that personal interaction. You don't really get to meet label owners, and my stuff wasn't really quite commercial enough. I had like 10 tracks ready to go, and these guys only wanted one of them, really. So that was quite disillusioning as well. It's like, even these guys, they just want the one. That's my only kind of in. But they've been my inspiration from the beginning, because they were always making music and then playing them at the Psytrance parties, and then they developed their sound to be a bit more housey and progressive, and that was also inspiring for me because it showed that you could get out of one particular genre and delve into different styles. So that also was inspiring for me. Show you didn't have to be too static in what it is you like, and then anyone else that produces music, techno particularly, I find, they were and then everything I'm listening to, of course.
Okay, we will link the recommendations or your inspiration in the show notes so that the people can find out more about if they want. But now we want to know more about your party brand you just told us. What is it? What are you doing exactly?
So what I do is it's just a party. I mean, not just a party. It's an event. I've been putting parties on for about.
It's never just party.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I bring a lot of. It's called Geared. So the theme that I went with is just gears. We're part of this machine, and we're just we're just a cog in the machine. And if there's a missing cog, or the machine will break down if it's not all greased up and things aren't working properly. And it's also about just moving forward and about just driving and technology and a little bit gritty and darker. So we play dark, heavy, peak time type techno, not industrial, but more squelchy kind of deeper dark. That's where I'm going anyway, personally, with my style, which works with the peak time techno anyway. So your classic commercial techno that's happening all around Europe and Brazil and everywhere really is not really getting played anywhere in Auckland. So there's been a massive gap in the market for a long time, and I've been meaning to fill that gap for a very long time because I'm the only one that actually plays that stuff, and everyone knew that, and so it's about time. And now someone needed just to make it happen and make a party that is for specifically that and is focused on that, and so that's my thing. And that feels good because then that's my identity as well. And I feel really proud of it. And I love everyone that come to my parties and all the DJs that I am able to find. So I'm about looking for the DJs that don't get to play very often, or the new DJs and the new people who have a particular sound, no matter who they are or how many friends they got or if they've been to my party before. I don't really give a shit. As long as they got the music, that's all I want. That's all I'm interested in. And so that feels good too.
This fits very good to our unpopular people concept, I think, because we also interview people from all over the world who are not popular. So, and this is similar with the thing you do, I think, with DJs or like music production that from people who are not popular or not famous. And cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
But those guys still do like great jobs. Like it's sometimes amazing what you hear, and that's what I like so much about what you said about the South Island and New Zealand. It's just so cool when you go to places and you hear like this. I've never heard this before, but it's just like sounds so good. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be. You just need the idea and the creativity and the passion for what it is that you're wanting, and that's all people want to see. They just want to see someone that is trying. Yeah, I forgot that this was called Unpopular People. So that actually makes me feel so much better about myself, because it's not necessarily about having totally made it or totally succeeded. It's about the journey that you do to get there. I mean, and people do it in different ways. I mean, I know that people feel frustrated with me because I haven't really made it. I haven't done what I really wanted to do with my music, and that feels frustrating to me as well. But it's also this lifelong kind of endeavor, and I feel like my life has disabled me a little bit. I do feel a little disabled in regards to accomplishing this particular goal anyway, like because it takes quite a particular mindset and a particular I feel a little disabled in some ways. It's hard to explain, but in other ways I'm learning and picking up over time. But I wish I was where I'm at now when I was 22. When I was 22, I could hardly look after myself, and I didn't even want to be alive. So, I like finding the odd people to DJ at the parties, the people who want a chance, and that you can see that they want the chance. You can see that their passion and their drive and their inspiration is there, and I want those guys. Yeah.
Cool. No, that's really good. And for the people that can't see you, you also have like a saw-shaped curve beside your ear. Is this related to like music or techno or anything? Or like, how does it come?
No, this was just us being bored at home and people wanting to try and shave something into the side, like patterns. So someone shaved a what's it called? A heartbeat, a pulse.
Oh, okay. It's a heartbeat. I thought it's like from from the oscillator, like the curve, and it's like a saw. But you can try to
something like that. Yeah.
You can try to imitate like this curve in the music. If you use your.
The other side is really bad. This was Emma's attempt. She just made it up in her head, and it's terrible. But the thing is, you can do this
for our listeners. We have to explain. So it's like like with a razor or something. They like just different shapes. It looks like the left looks a bit like a zebra, and the right looks more. It's like a heartbeat. That's right.
Two different people did it, so you could do it too. Now you've got time for it to grow out. If you ever want to put patterns in your head, this is the time.
We actually did. Like Elisa shaved the side of my head, and she's done a great job. I have to say. I'm really really happy about it, to be honest, because it didn't cost me anything. I mean, just like a kiss or so, but.
Yeah. We try everything in this time, I think, with lockdown, so everybody's getting creative, and
So when this time is over and like things go back to normal, like what if I have another question concerning the place where you
go back to normal.
About the place where you live now. So you talked a lot about Auckland and South Island, and we know you come from South Africa, went to London. But what if you had to leave New Zealand, like for some reason, you have to leave the country for good? Which other country would you choose to live in? Would you go back to London or back to South Africa, or what would be your place of choice?
And why?
That's a really hard question, because New Zealand is the best place in the world.
It is.
You say it is. South Africa, I couldn't live in. London, no chance. Spain looked quite exciting when I was in Spain. I was there for a little bit. I like it. The people are cool. The vibe is there. Thailand, I spent 3 months in. That was beautiful. Really like it there. I haven't been to Australia. So that would probably be the one I go to because I haven't been there. I've been to Sydney once, but that was it. It's always been on the cards, so I would like to check it out. Yeah, I mean, America, no way. South America, no way. No, I mean, I want to go visit, and I've still got a ticket for the Patagonia Festival, but I don't think I could live there. It's a hard question. Maybe Thailand would be fun. Australia, possibly South Africa. Probably Australia, I guess. It's close.
So we think we come to the last questions now, and our podcast's name is Unpopular People. You're doing great music, and imagine, so this was your first goal in the beginning, you told us, imagine you will be popular in the future. So this means that people would know you all over the world. What would you do differently if you would do something differently, and why?
Well, I would play music. I DJ, and I mean that's the ultimate goal, is to have my live set and to play it to people. My message would be to just drop ego and to allow people to express themselves where they need to. If I was popular, I'd probably play them. That's a hard question, I guess. I'd just help other people do the same thing to achieve their goals. If I saw any desire, I'd probably make a lot more effort to go out and reach out for people and to set a tone for moving forward in regards to achieving your goals by offloading anything I've learned. So possibly I get popular and I can then show everybody else how to do it as well, if that's what they want.
Great. I mean, there's a saying, you can only be successful if you make other people be successful too. So this fits perfect. And if you would have a school full of kids, what do you want the kids to learn? Like, what do you think is important? I mean, especially from your really interesting background from South Africa and having problems in the past with identifying yourself with a new environment and things like this. Is there anything you think they should put as a subject in school for kids to learn in an early age on to have it easier in life, or not necessarily easier, more like that it don't have to have those awful struggles some kids and some people have to go through? Yeah,
I think it would be how to identify your own emotions and how to manage them. I think that's the most important lesson that I'm still learning. Everybody's different, and some people have been brought up without any problems. So their parents taught them fine, they've got no major issues, and they can go through life and things don't upset them as much as maybe some other kids or some other people. So, but then they would struggle in other ways. So it would be managing your own emotions, being able to identify your emotions, and understand that you are not your emotions. I would also set meditation as being something that should be a part of everyday life. I don't do it all the time, but I do it as often as I can, and I just know how important it is for centering yourself and not getting caught up in life and not. A lot of people struggle.
Is this your connection to handling your emotions? Is this meditation? Yeah. Also, what is your do you have an idea what people can do to handle their emotions?
Yeah, meditate, meditate, and center yourself, and go and do a Vipassana course because it teaches you the best type of meditation and why we meditate, and it explains what its usefulness is. It's helped me immensely. I'm still learning and I still struggle, but it really helps me identify with the idea that that emotions, that everything changes. So the most consistent thing in life is change. What I've had a massive problem with in life is feeling like it's always going to be terrible. So if you get dumped, oh my God, it always happens. It always, I get a life full of shit. life, and it always feels like it's always going to be like that, but it's not. Like that emotion that you feel when you get pissed off or something or somebody, you feel like you're always feeling that emotion. It actually goes away after about 5 minutes if you let it. That identity and that fixation on both negative and positive emotions leads to misery ultimately. If you constantly trying to fight the idea of that you're angry, then you're it's a contradiction. Basically, yeah, just meditation allows you to understand and observe your emotion rather than feeling like you have to always be engaged in that emotion. And just about observing it and watching things happen and watching them let go as well. Because I think for me, I've always felt like I'm always this pent-up aggression or anxiety or depression. Everything is always changing. Yeah.
Sorry, just one more question to this. What is your first step to approach this, especially meditation? What would you say, like, what could be the first step for people to do to actually approach this meditation and through this handling their emotions? What was your first step to start?
Well, I mean, I've been through years of therapy, so and counseling, but I would suggest just sitting down for 20 minutes, going to YouTube, putting some headphones on and finding a 20-minute guided meditation. Some of them can be a little bit fluffy, but if you just want some time to take time out for yourself, just listen to one of those. Or if you don't need a guided meditation, all I would suggest is sitting down for 15 minutes at first, and you can build up to half an hour to an hour, and just sit and watch your breath. And that's it. Watch your breath and keep your mind coming back to that. Because meditation teaches you to keep your mind focused, because our minds drift all the time. It goes in a million different directions, and it's impossible to stop it. You can't stop it. It's not about stopping it. It's about bringing it back to a center so that you don't get caught up in your mind, because our imagination can be our worst enemy.
And could it also be the first step to approach someone, as you say, like you've been through therapy, so I mean this must have been helpful. So do you think this is something someone should approach too, like in an early stage?
Definitely. I know that there are thousands of people out there really, really struggling mentally. And I've been lucky enough to have a mother who's a psychotherapist. I know that there are so many people out there having real issues, very, very serious issues that they will end their lives with, that they can't see any out. They don't understand how this life is working and how they just don't work in it. And it's a real risk to those people's lives, and they don't know any other way. But psychotherapy, paying someone $140 to sit with you for 1 hour is hugely beneficial. You do that 3 times every 2 weeks. It's an investment, and you can't skimp on how much you are worth. So you pay for that, and it comes back to you because it gives you huge, really, really important skills to manage your life.
What would you suggest to, or what would you say to people that say, oh, it's a weakness to go to someone or go to therapy? What would you tell them?
It's a strength to show your weakness.
Yeah, it's so beautiful that you say this, because I think many people, they are afraid to show it. And so it's so important that, you say this, that it's just a weakness, but you can handle it, and it's great when you can bring it out, and in the end you grow with it, you become better and you develop yourself, and this is amazing. So if there are people outside here, our listeners, who want to get more information about you, how is this possible? Do you have a website or something?
I used to, but it didn't allow me to do what I wanted. But yeah, just look for my name, Pieter Borgh. Look for my brand, Geared Events. on Facebook, but we'll put a link, I'm sure, in there for those. And on SoundCloud, it'll be Pieter Borgh. There's a couple of tracks, some originals at the bottom, but a lot of my mixes from the sets that I've recorded for my parties. And on Beatport, there's a couple of tunes on there. And on Facebook, I've got a page. Yeah. And that's me pretty much.
And if someone wants to reach out in terms of like the whatever you therapy or whatever you've done and things like this, do you want people to contact us and we forward those questions to you, or do you want to give them?
More than happy for people to contact me directly. I'm not afraid of talking to anyone about anything. I'm very open-minded, and I have no judgment at all on anyone's struggles in life. So feel free.
Cool. Okay, we will link your contact details in the show notes.
Yeah, cool. Thank you very much.
With pleasure.
All right, so we wrap this up. Thank you very, very much for your time. I know time is at the moment a very valuable. No, just joking. So that's the good thing. We can actually do those things we want to do in life. So taking the best out of this really strange situation. I don't know when this interview will be published. It might be even afterwards. We hope you, when this is all over, you already have a party in place that will finish the lockdown, and we all can get back together. And we're looking forward to come over to see you in Auckland, of course. And you're always welcome when this is over to visit us in Australia. So you finally get to see a little bit of Australia. And so
my sister's having a wedding actually that she cancelled, so it's in Gold Coast, or just inside from Gold Coast. So maybe when I come to the wedding, which you'll put on again at some point, then I can come visit.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Would be awesome.
Great, cool. And we wrap this up. And if there are any final words, there's now the time for it. We say goodbye from our side.
Yeah, goodbye, and thank you for your time.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks for showing interest, and I'm really proud of you guys for what you're doing. It's great. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye bye.
See you.
Thank you for listening to this interview. We hope you enjoyed the time with Pieter.
If you want to find out more about him, just visit our website www.unpopularpeople.com and click the button Show Notes on his episode.
Do you want to learn more about music production, especially how to use Ableton? Then have a look on our service website, because we offer Ableton courses too. Thanks and goodbye.